Okay. Yep. So sorry about that. So the mindset for success in this space, like I said, is um the approach is that it's a space for continuous learning. When you get into ERP, you don't leave ERP probably until you retire. And the only way to remain relevant in this space is you have to constantly learn. So ERP and IT is a space that is constantly changing. So the mindset is different from other fields, right? So when you come into this space, you need to know it's a journey. And just learning configuration does not get you to that destination. It's just the beginning of the journey. So you have to keep improving, keep learning, and keep, of course, putting yourself out there to seek opportunities. And once you get your first opportunity, it is the springboard to you just becoming a lifetime, um, sitting in that role for a lifetime. It's just that one opportunity that opens the doors for other opportunity for you. But you have to, like I said, getting the opportunity is one thing, but staying in the opportunity is another thing. That's why you cannot go through the shortcuts. If you go through the shortcuts, the knowledge will still be required from you, even when you get to that destination you think you want to get to. And anything you don't learn, any knowledge you don't solidify yourself in will probably meet you in the future in your job role. So the idea is to make sure you are constantly learning, you're improving, and you follow through with the task that is required. So the first thing about the mindset for success in this field is you have to have this business process transformation mindset. So it's not about a system. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I dealt with a topic where I talked about digital transformation and the mindset. So the idea is that ERP is not just about the system. It's not about configuring a system. No, it's not about deploying. It's about end-to-end business process transformation. It's about how is this implementation driving real change in the business? How is it changing the fortunes of the stakeholders? How is it improving the how is it how do you trace it down up onto KPIs? How is it transforming the way people work? How is he helping the company achieve its goal? It's not just about just implement a system and configure it, and that is a very siloed way, a siloed mindset. So when you come into this space, you have to have that mindset about business process transformation. So ERP enhances or facilitate that process, because a business is made up of processes. And a system, when you put a system in place, it's supposed to enhance those processes, it's supposed to make the lives of the people a little bit easier, and make help the company and the executive make very quick decisions. So you have to have that mindset that this is really what why I'm learning, what the system is all about. Two, the other mindset you should have when you come into this space is enterprise problem solving. I would say that 99.9% of your job in the ERP space is about solving problems. The first day you step your feet into a role, the first thing that hits you is a problem. The problem from a user, a problem from the system, a problem from a process, a problem from managing a certain stakeholder, a problem from, it could be, different issues. So we spend most of our careers, of not 99% of our careers, solving problems. And to solve a problem, it means that you have to have a problem, you have to have that problem solving mindset, to know that really, if you're not a problem solver, you will struggle within the space, because why you're being employed is to solve problems. And like I said, one thing is to get a job, another thing is to solve the problems when you are employed. And unfortunately, if you're working in you know more advanced clients, you don't have the luxury of time to misbehave or play around the system. A month or two, they will know if you're solving problems or not. And fortunately, if you're not solving problems, you might be told to leave. So that's another thing you must understand, that you have to be a problem solver. You have to want to put yourself out there to be able to solve problems and support the change that the business is going through. Also, another mindset you have to have in this space is continuous learning. I cannot overemphasize this, right? Um, Once you come into this space, you have signed up for a life of continuous learning. If you don't, if you do not sign up for that, or if you do not, you know, um, have that as a mindset, or if you don't subscribe to that, then you will not survive. Because imagine a system that does quarterly upgrades. Every quarter there is an upgrade in the system, and it's expected that as maybe a consult, we'll talk about roles later, depending on the role where you find yourself within the system, it is constantly changing, because customers who use this system are constantly asking the system to do things for them. So there's constant upgrades. We're talking about the age of AI now, that is basically transforming everything, right? So if you have to have that mindset that I'm coming to a space where I will probably be learning for the rest of my life, until I leave active work. So you have to have that mindset. Four is high responsibility work. Like I said, it's about solving problems. In summary, once you get into the Microsoft Dynamics space, and learning how to use tools to solve those problems. And the sweet thing about Microsoft is that they have tools. I mean, that's one thing I got to like about being in the Microsoft space. There are a lot of tools that you can use to solve problems, but it's left for you to learn those tools and take up the responsibility to do the work. And that is also a mindset you should have if you want to be successful in this course. The last is, come ready to learn as much as possible. For those who are going to continue in this session, come ready to learn, ask questions, and think like a consultant. Now, a consultant, somewhere I was talking to somebody, and I feel like the word consultant has been bastardized in the IT space. If you look at the medical space, before you call somebody a consultant, it's a very big deal. Like, if a consultant is to see you, it's like, it's like half of your problem, or even 80% of your problem has been solved in the hospital setting. And a consultant does not see everybody. So they only bring in a consultant, from my understanding, very shallow understanding, when the situation is, a little bit more advanced or a little bit complex. That's why you see a consultant step in. That's how it should be in IT. You know, a consultant is somebody that has the knowledge to solve the problem. You're not guessing. You're not. It's not a plaything. Once you're brought into a problem, the only expectation from the people who brought you into that problem is to solve it. And if you don't solve it, then it means that you're lacking in knowledge. There are certain aspects of your learning that is not complete, right? So you have to start thinking, having that mindset. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please use the chat, and we'll pick it up as much as possible. Just to move on, there's a quote on my screen by Alvia. I like using this quote. And the quote says that the illiterate of the 21st century is not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And he's perfectly correct. This 21st century, I mean, education is everywhere. Education is everywhere. You don't even need to go to the four walls of a school now to become educated. I mean, I was listening to a preacher. It says if you spend a year two on, for example, a place like YouTube, and you want to learn, you probably come out very, very knowledgeable. If you pick a certain topic on YouTube and you go through the thousands of videos there, you will become knowledgeable. So learning now, it's not a problem, but the challenge of this century is unlearning and relearning. That's the only way And of course, that ties down to continuous learning. That's the only way you can remain relevant in this time and age. And as things are constantly changing, as human beings, it's our responsibility to adapt, to look into the future, and to take steps now to be able to secure our future, as much as possible. So it's a very good saying that says that once in a while you need to check yourself, you need to unlearn certain things, and you need to relearn certain things so that you can, shaping up and being relevant in this time and age. Okay, I've said a lot. For now, we're just going to have what we call an icebreaker, and hopefully, let me check in with all of you to know how you are doing, and if you're hearing me. Sai, thank you for joining from India. So we have an icebreaker, and please use the chat as much as possible. So the first question here says, "How much do you know about ERPs?" I want to probably just gauge the audience in the room, and that will be very, very well appreciated. So the question is, how much do you know about ERPs? If you use the chat, the first option there says not much. A means I have a good idea about it. Um, C is knowledgeable and D is expert. So if you can use A, B, C, or D instead of writing the full sentence, it will be very, very well appreciated. So the question is, how much do you know about ELPs? Please, if you can use the chat and just share your feedback, then we'll take it up from there. So, how much do you know about ELPs? Let me see if we have any feedback from the chat. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we have some A's, we have some very good B's. A from Asanya, Steven says B, Sai says B, Johnson B, Etty D, Ahmed is B, and also is C. Thank you very much, guys, for responding. Smart is C. All right, so C's have it from what we can see from my chat. Chinedu is C. That's good. All right, so let's see what we have. So C says knowledgeable, and I mean, wow, that's good. I mean, that will make my life a little bit easier. And for those who have B's and A's, no problem. We'll still have to definitely accommodate you. The session is made to accommodate everybody, and that is basically how I run my sessions. So the next icebreaker will be, how much do you know about Microsoft Dynamics finance and operations? So A says not much, B, I have a good idea about it, C, knowledgeable, and D, expert. So let's see about Microsoft Dynamics. How much do you know about Microsoft Dynamics? All right, thank you very much, Nonso. Nonso says A, Sai says B, Johnson A, Bio A, Ahmed C. Good. Onosanya A, LTB, Babatunde A. Awesome. 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 So A not much has also that's some very good information there. All right. So that will take us into the next session of this course. But thank you guys for sharing your feedback. Chinedu A. That's interesting. Thank you very much for sharing your feedback.